customer journey. And like you mentioned in your previous answer, that each of them have to be measured. And then there's a term playbooks floating around. So how can playbooks help with measuring phases and their KPIs?
Yeah, I think very, very significant. And like you are aware, Shivani, I think we have also been a proponent of using playbooks smartly, intelligently, and in the right for the right reasons. When you look at phases across the customer journey and what you need to do there, I think there are 2-3 things which every organizations need to look at. First thing is, are you doing the bare minimum which needs to be done in that phase consistently and every time, right? Are you doing that? Why? Because then it gives you a certain set of confidence that if I'm doing these set of things, I am expecting a certain result at the end, or at least some consistency of the output at the end, right? Irrespective of who's participating, the individual resource in that particular incident. So I think consistency is very important. And then to finally reach the outcome, and every phase, there are different set of metrics, which is what you were asking, right? So for example, and we are all aware of it. Question is, how do you drive it? So in onboarding, for example, if you're saying onboarding is a phase, then what is an onboarding metric? The most common one probably would be time to onboard, would be cost of onboarding, as well as maybe experience of onboarding. Just these 3 very basic fundamental metrics, right? Now, so your intent has to be, am I doing onboarding consistently in a certain time tolerance limit? So if your average time to onboard is, let's say, 4 weeks, are you trending 4 weeks on an average consistently enough? What is the tolerance? Or is it, one is going 8 weeks, the other is going 2 weeks, which is why you are averaging 4 weeks. If you feel as an organization that 4 is really ideal and practical enough, then you have to track whether every customer is trending towards 4 or not, and try and do what it takes to ensure that consistency happens. That is where the concept of a playbook becomes very important, because now you're prescribing that these things need to be done in a certain timeline, within a certain timeline, to achieve this output, right? Now, some part of these activities can be automated, some part has to be manual, some part can be pushed out to the customer, and so on and so forth. That's nuances of how the playbooks work. But then you could use the playbooks in this example to drive that consistency and also do it at scale. You're saying, now I need to do this across all the customers which are coming, across all the roles who are participating, these activities need to happen. So that's one way to actually drive. Now, similarly, when you go into the next phase, which may be a little bit more steady, you've already onboarded, now you're trying to drive adoption. So then you need to have, again, the same set of consistency. How are you calculating? Now, the playbooks by itself has got certain amount of value, but the bigger value is when you try connecting the outcome matrix to the playbook, and then go back and see whether it's being achieved or not. So if your intent is to keep your onboarding timeline in that example at 4 weeks, and keep the costs of onboarding in check or at a certain level, or in fact trend that graph of down from a cost standpoint, then you have to actually measure it, right? So every playbook, now you measure towards that metric and then go back and change if required. Similarly, for every phase in the activities which you are doing, you could have a set of playbooks which start operating and being measured that way.